All right, we finna get started. We got choices in life. We all have choices. We all have the same kind of choices. Some of them are, big time heavy for your health and all that. Some of the choices ain't got nothing to do with no more than where you want to go tonight. But now, let's say that's what you have choice of, where you want to go tonight. Because there's where in front of that. See, this is something that you need to really understand. Where is the fork? That's you're going here, and then they say, well, which way do I go? Where do I go from here? You're at a fork. Now, I don't know what you do when you're not sure, when you come to a fork in the road. But what I do is I accept I'm at a fork in the road, and I am going to choose a way to go, or I'm going to be stuck at this fork. What I think I've been wondering how the fuck you knew all about my own business until my mom reminded me that you were the older. All right, Tiz Brown. Check this out. When I come to a fork, since I trust myself, I mean, I'm going to definitely choose a path, but whichever one it is, either or, I'm going to have to make it work. I mean, does that make sense? The sense in it is if I don't make a choice, I'm going to be stuck at the fork. Now, if one way or the other is the right way, you sure know staying here at the fork is the wrong way. You know that. Choices at times are difficult to make, but think about what'll happen if you don't make a choice. Sometimes I get a few alumni, uh, they have whatever going on, tell me about it. But I always get dudes who have not bought my course, but they thinking about it. A lot of them tell me uh, they're faced with a situation and can't decide what to do. And they want to know why. They ask me why they can't decide. And I tell them the reason you can't decide what to do is you haven't been honest with yourself. If you're honest, you will realize that the decision isn't that difficult to make. Once you see what will benefit you most. I really don't like it when a dude, especially an alumni, asks a question and then states several options they could have chosen. Because to me, what is the purpose of having confidence if when you have options, you're afraid to make a decision? You got to remember this. Confidence isn't going to make decisions for you. Confidence is only going to make you comfortable in the choices you make. That's all confidence is going to do for you. Because you still have to make the choice. You still got to choose. Now, at this point, when you do choose and you see that your choice is what was needed, you feel a surge. It's like a boost. And believe it or not, if you do your due diligence, you'll undoubtedly make the right choice. Make an actual believer of you. Most times, when you're making changes, the initial information you get seems to jump out at you, and it makes you feel like things just might be all right. Then a few weeks later, you don't feel so sure. Two things are going on at this point. First, that information that was so new isn't that new anymore, and you're not as thrilled to go about it as you were at first. Now, if you want what is offered, this is the time you got to push yourself to get it. When it was new to you, you was keen on using it, but once you saw the work it takes, you backed off a little. What you should do is tighten up and stay down. The second thing that's going on is you only now realizing that you got to put a genuine effort in getting the information out. New information gotta marinate. You don't have to marinate long, but you surely cannot grasp it immediately. New information sinks in quickly, but it needs to settle into your environment before it shows you its true value. Now, when I get new information after I understand it, I look for the best environment to try it out in. And the thing is, you take care of your hygiene every day so you can face the world fresh. That includes your mouth, your face, your hair, and body. All should face the world fresh. But aren't you forgetting something? Now, this is something you got to do before you leave. Make sure you refresh your mental state. Do a quick weeding of your garden, and you'll be ready. Do a quick weeding of your mental garden every morning, and watch how much better you feel about facing the day. Hygiene works best if done daily and enthusiastically. All this ties together when you're about to embark on a mission to go higher. Some people think they need a motivator to get to the next plateau. Well, who said it would be a person? Motivation comes in many forms. Some do come in the form of a person telling you a lot of things. Some come in the form of you witnessing something. But I found the best one comes in the form of working hard for something. Doing this will make you opinionated. What's good about being opinionated? First and foremost, it's good to have an opinion on things going on. Secondly, it's even better to have an opinion that you're brave enough to voice what your opinion is. Many of you stop there, but that's only having an opinion, and we know opinions are like assholes. Everybody got one. I asked about being opinionated. This is a totally different animal than having an opinion. Being opinionated means that your opinion is all that matters to you. You do agree that other people should and can have an opinion on your shit, but it don't register in your book. If you're opinionated, more than likely, you've done more than the average person in your field has done. Most people who are opinionated are well schooled, but the best way to become an opinionated person is to be a person who learned by trial and error. Being educated isn't necessarily the best way of getting all you can. Education, if your instructor ain't sharp, can make you, become dumbed down, becoming opinionated in the dumb ideas you have. In many cases, educators don't really want you to think outside the box. The guy who learned street shit had to think outside the box to live. And if his opinions are anything, they're the guiding factors to his destiny, which is what your opinions should be. Most people, most people's opinions are just that, an opinion. My opinion, 9 out of 10 times, will be tied to my tenets and a major part of my personality. Therefore, it isn't something I take lightly. My opinions are a part of my destiny, as yours should be. Today is the perfect time for you to decide you will no longer settle for the leftover after the feast. Today is the day you're going to join the feast as all kings do. You've thought about leaving, but something makes you want to give her another shot. The only way to do that is for it to work. Well, I mean, of course you want it to work, but the only way for it to work is to look her in her eyes and let her know you're not having anymore. Now, of course, she's going to resist because you've been soft for so long she can't imagine you standing up to her. Don't argue. Don't fuss. Just let her know you're not having it anymore and go catch the news or something on TV. And when she says something, look at her and don't say nothing. When she brings you your dinner, thank her and remain quiet. When you finish, be sure to compliment her on your meal, but remain quiet. When you get dressed for bed, tell her good night, turn over, and go to sleep. In the morning, make sure you say hello and leave to work. When you return from work, buy a couple of roses, a small card, and when you get home, tell her this is the beginning and I don't want to start over again. And this time, you're calling the shots. No more of the idle threats you used to make, because that shit get old. What's old? Is yesterday's news old? Do you realize that tomorrow will be old next week? I try to tell myself to relax because I'm getting too old to run like I do. Then I think, if I'm running just to be running, I am too old for that kind of shit. But I'm running, paving the way for my golden years, which are right around the corner. I know if I would have done things earlier in my life, now I would be bored to death with nothing to do. So what is old? Old is what old does. Young motherfuckers run so their golden years will be lived out in bliss. Old motherfuckers sit and enjoy the fruits of their earlier years' labor. Shit. I never did believe that goddamn shit. And now that I could qualify to be an old motherfucker who sit and watch the days turn into night, I decided to pass on that shit and live for my golden years. Because the years they deemed or determined to be golden, 60s and 70s, are outdated. Golden years are 80s and 90s these days. So if I put my efforts in overdrive, this shit I'm doing with SWU just might fit the bill for me in my golden years. Hey, you guys ain't got nothing to say about this shit? I see you writing all this bullshit in the chat room. Ain't nobody got no motherfucking questions or comments? Well, if not, I'm gonna just keep on pushing. You do know prisons and jails are not like hotels and motels. Since today all prisons are for profit, it should stand to reason that authorities make sure they're at full capacity. That's their job, to make sure they're at full capacity. And this is one time where it's straight across the board, although it still affects minorities more. Simple shit like refusing to identify yourself is reason enough now for the popo to charge you with something. Knowing you're going to resist arrest for it, and any little thing that at one time even the popo would laugh at is now an arrestable offense. And your ass is going to have to go through all the changes of fighting whatever that offense is. It's a fact. Anything for profit must have goods. In every case, those goods are manufactured. How else can they manufacture prisoners unless they make simple shit that most people do, criminal acts? Chattel is the new word for jails, and pretell is the new word for prisons. They're simply another asset to some fat cat's portfolio. Now, I think it's up to you or us to stop letting them trick us into filling their vacancies. Sometimes it's just not worth the hassle. Other times it is. I'm just saying, choose wisely, because a lot of stuff in your life is about your choices. Even the way they accept prisoners is all about the least cost and most profit. If you're an older black person with some illnesses, your chance of going to a private prison is almost the same as an older white person with illnesses. Why? Because private prisons prefer young, black, or males of color who are healthy, because it costs them less than 10% of the $32,000 they get per prisoner to take care of them. White prisoners use more of the resources in a prison, costing the prison more of its profits. An inmate who has illnesses can end up costing the goddamn institution, and we know they ain't finna go for that shit. The chosen commodity for private prisons is healthy young men of color. Can we just keep this in mind? You want to know what's worth more than you can imagine? Knowing how to use the knowledge that I'm giving you the correct way. Young men who have studied this life, the game, studied with me, they're doing the do. They're doing the do. They're not copying me or letting me tell them how to be a man. They're out there in the mix. The same mix that you claim is so dangerous, which they are. But the real don't sweat that kind of shit. That's little shit. They go out there and get the game with the game. I laced them with it. I can only tell you how to drive. You still got to get in the car and navigate the roads. Same with this game y'all playing with. You cannot tell HD the Great or Boss Hog or Quentin or Young Ramsey the P or any of the youngsters I've blessed with this game the bullshit you're talking about on the internet. Once again, I'm dedicating my show to men. Even though I said several times I wouldn't do it, I do. It's one thing in my life I did that I'm ashamed of. I was actually part of what ultimately was the undoing of this Abadabba. It was not any of our intentions, nor was it the producer's intentions, but American Pimp is directly responsible for the influx of so many unqualified people getting in the game. You can go back to the Mac and any other movie that represented the game, and there was no influx of undesirable people entering. Those because In the Mac Gold, he had ups and downs. And all the other dangers in the pimp game were represented. American Pimp showed high class success. That's all it showed. Dre went to jail, but that didn't really show the negative side of the goddamn game. Don't get me wrong, jail is a negative no matter how you look at it. But we all shined so brightly, and none of us spoke of the pitfall that was in the game. So it was like inviting a bunch of scary dudes in. That's a big reason I kick this game like I do. If I would have held close to the traditions of not telling anyone about this game, it wouldn't be this bad. I really believe that. Almost 1 billion people saw that goddamn film. I wanted to let you know that film played on premium channels for over 10 years straight, from 98 to 09. It played. It overexposed the luxuries and all the fucking dudes who was truly about it earned. And we made it look so attractive that scary ass fools decided to try to sneak in. But the real culprit is crack cocaine. Because if so many motherfuckers would not have been taken out of the game behind it, they would have been on the scene to run all you fakes off. And our precious game would have been preserved. All of you who are studying to be a priest, stand-up men, should take advantage of my course. You think I'm trying to sell you some bullshit. But of the few who've bought my course, they all have thanked me and apologized for thinking I was trying to beat them, or worse, use them. What it takes to be a man is more than saying you won, which is all you guys do. Tomorrow night, when you hear what's the correct way to get your program on, 98% of you will only be entertained by how fly it sounds. Of the 2% that's left, 1.5% will take the information as important enough to not forget, but they won't use it because of the heart it takes to be a man. I know only 0.5% will use this information to better their hand. And this is because out of 1,000 dudes, maybe one of them will be qualified to be a man. Maybe. This ain't rap. This ain't hustling. This is the true game. This ain't something you can claim unless you can be what we will talk about. I never thought just anybody could rap. I thought only real rappers can rap. But as you see and admit, you guys have fucked up the rap game too. Because underqualified people are designating themselves as being Jay-Z or Tupac. Just as these underqualified dudes are fucking up the game. I still love this game. They just fucking it up. I loved the rap game. Soon they'll have eliminated what rappers work so hard to implement. And when you complain, they're going to call you dinosaurs. Watch out for progress. It could very well be a tool being used to make you accept regression. What does my course have to offer? Those of you who listens to my videos on the man tip, first off, it shows you how to stand on what you believe and how to help what you fucking believe manifest into you becoming you. Second, it shows you the importance of having principles of a man and how that forces women to respect you. I teach you what forces them to respect you is that you're not accepting anything less than acceptance and respect. Third, when you have principles, they create boundaries that must be adhered to. Once you have principles and boundaries, which if you admit you don't have any, you'll become a man of integrity and the women you're speaking with will cream on you because you just might be the first real man she's met who has any goddamn integrity at all. The reason real men catch is because that's what men do, catch women. If you really have more than one woman, your response will have some of this motherfucking abadabba spit in it. There you have it. Not one of you have responded to me asking you to call because not one of you have a crew. If someone does respond, he's gonna be of the old school tradition. Old school youngsters are the only today motherfuckers with crews. I hardly ever hear from a nigga with old school values, but that's because he's a real one with a crew. You can tell when a brother has a crew. When one of the old school youngsters who bought my course gets in contact with me about a problem, he begins his story with what's going on. Yet, before he can get through the story, he brings up another broad who's in pocket. He makes the comparison to show what he means. Then, as he tells his story, different bitches come in. They come into play. I can hear game in this conversation because he has a crew. Not that I accept he has a crew. I hear how he's talking that lets me know he can control a crew. This man knows that information he's seeking will help him, with his other women as well. Why? Because he know I was a real one and he trusts my advice. Since he's a real man, he knows the situation he brought up to me was involving one woman, but the question was about having women, plural. This is one reason why you should want my course, and that's to get all the knowledge concerning game that you can. There's one thing about me for sure. I know about what I speak on, and I never speak on what I don't know. Saying that isn't, isn't it impressive? Shit. Isn't it impressive that I can speak on topics that vary from politics to religion, from square shit to gamed up shit, to international crisis to domestic violence, from education to literary composition? Need I go on? Isn't it important that I can hold my own in all those arenas? I don't know. You guys won't call and let me know what you think. If you don't, I surely think it is. So, goddamn, I ain't got my phone. But I'm sure my fucking phone is on. Let me make sure. Okay, so let me. Why the fuck can I? Oh, there it is right there. Yeah, that motherfucker working. That's y'all not calling in. That phone working. But it's cool. You ain't got to call in. I ain't got to talk to you. Sometime I'll be wanting to talk to you motherfuckers, but I don't beg nobody to talk to me, especially suckers. The only reason you won't talk to me is because you come on, man, you gonna call now. Caller, what's up?
Hey, what's going on, Rosebud? This is Norman checking in. How you doing today?
I'm doing very well, brother Norman. How you doing?
I'm doing good. But, really let you know how much I appreciate you dropping the video today, man. And I was able to catch it. You dropped a couple during the week, and I was working, and you know how that is. Sometimes you don't want to.
That's why all you got to do. That's why all you got to do is go to my motherfucking site and click on the video you missed, because you can hear it every time on StreamYard. You know that, right?
Oh yeah, that's definitely what I do.
Oh, okay. Okay,
it don't
cool.
get past me now. I just don't get it live.
Okay. Well, you got any questions?
Yeah. No, man, I really don't have a question. I just want to call it just my appreciation, show my appreciation for you dropping the video today and me catching it. You did touch on something today. You had mentioned that probably slipping my mind a little bit, but you had mentioned something earlier about I can't really think of it right now. But man, just keep it going, man. And man, to all the listeners and the listening audience, man, y'all show some support, man, for Bud, man, because he has created a community, man, where we can lift each other up and get gamed up, man. I'm gone.
All right, man, be cool. I love shit like that because that is what it's about. Having somewhere you can kick it with motherfuckers that ain't silly. Period. Uh, yeah, that's about it for me today. That's only 30 minutes though, and I've really, been talking a lot longer than 30 minutes. But my next video, since I'm starting fresh, I'm gonna just completely not be talking about pimps. Only talking about men. That's what I'm gonna be doing from now on. Caller, what's up?
What's going on, bud? This is Dylan.
Dylan, what's happening?
Man, just chilling, man. Man, lately life been just throwing all kind of curveballs at me, and I know you got a lot of experience with life, and I was just wondering, as far as you dealing with, let's say, business kind of messing up, and you probably got to pivot. You ever had a situation where like the way you were doing things business wise kind of changed, and now you kind of had to adjust the way you have to operate?
Hell yeah, many times with Sidewalk University. I had to make
Yeah.
damn near adjustments, man. But the thing about curves, think about this, man. If you're a baseball player and you're a good hitter, aren't you? It don't mean you can hit a curve, but aren't you prepared for that pitcher to throw you a curve?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is sometimes you miss, sometimes you hit it. But the thing is, you ain't running from the curve. That shit you talking right there about business, blah, 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 throwing you curves and shit, you automatically, which you probably don't notice, but you saying you run from them. You saying you run from the curve because you wouldn't ask why a curve is thrown if you was a baseball player, because pitchers throw curves. By the same
Mm-hmm.
token, if you a dude, doing some shit, life is gonna throw you curves. So the analogy is the same, although the situation is totally different. You follow me?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because you can't run away from it. You just gotta embrace the fact that that's part of the game.
You
You
gotta
don't get the
embrace the
first time.
fact that you saw the curve. A lot of motherfuckers
Yeah.
get a curve thrown at them and they duck out the way because it look like it's gonna hit them, but then it curves in. So I'm saying you can't be no good hitter if you scared of curves or if you don't know how to hit a curve. It's
Man,
three
that's
and
real.
it's 3-2. The count is full. And this pitch he finna pitch, you don't know it's a curve. But if he throw a curve, you ain't finna let him strike you out with that shit.
Mm.
I'm just saying, bro, when life throw you a curve, you gotta be down and you gotta swing at it. Because 9 out of 10 times, Dylan, you thinking about your life, your business, whatever it is on your mind. And this curve is just wanting to fuck whatever you thinking up. This curve don't even know what you thinking. He just know, or he just feel if I shoot this curve on him, he gonna miss. That's how life is. It ain't no person, but it show says to man, if I throw this motherfucker a curve right now, he gonna miss. Life is like that for real, man.
Man, I really needed to hear that, man, because I think a lot of times we forget that that's just part of the whole scheme of life.
Every time we forget that. I do sometimes. You can't say why this shit happening. You can't think that. I mean, if you think it, you got to answer. This happened because I'm in the mix. And if you're in the mix, excuse me, shit's gonna happen.
Yeah.
What shows you can handle it is when you say, God damn, this motherfucker throwing me a curve. But you deal with it. And maybe 2, 3 minutes after you done dealt with it, You didn't forgot about it because it ain't shit. And once you handle shit, you ain't gonna say, "Oh man, I handled it." You just gonna say, "Oh yeah, I handled that shit," and go on about your business. And when it happens again, you'll be ready to handle it again, but you'll handle it much quicker because you know you can handle it. That's why a motherfucker don't run from a curveball. Because when he was scared of it, one time he stayed in there and hit that motherfucker and realized the curveball just a pitch. What about an inside high ball? What about an inside low ball? I'm saying all this shit can hit you. You just got to be able to get out the way, right or wrong.
That's correct.
Right
Man,
on.
that reminds me of the phrase you got. I think you said, you got to handle shit or shit will handle you.
That is exactly what I mean. Handle shit or shit will handle you. Handle your thoughts about curves or your thoughts about curves is going to handle you. And if your thoughts about curves handle you, you're going to get the short end of the stick.
Hey, I sure do appreciate that, bud.
Hey, man, I appreciate you shooting that shit to me, bro. Hey, let me tell you guys something. I don't care if you're just calling in. I just care that you got something to speak. Something to say. Because if you have something to say and you're willing to say it, you don't know how freeing that is. Think about it, man. You got something to say, but you're questioning whether or not you should call in. How the fuck can you say what the fuck you want to say if you don't call in? Then if you call in and I start talking shit, because whatever you talking about ain't shit, what is that? Hurting your feelings? Man, I mean, people, think about it. You motherfucker. That shit you saying don't work no more. I hear all that all the time. Do you see me stopping what I'm doing? Because what that motherfucker that's saying that shit don't know, which is what I know, this shit does work. I wouldn't have been Rosebud if it didn't work. I would not have rose to be whatever you think of Bud if this shit I say did not work. I'm just trying to tell you why you should fuck with me. Period. Fuck with the real and you'll get some of it. And the more of it you get, the more of it you'll have. And once you have enough of it, you on your way. That's just how it go. Period. Hey, I'm gone, you guys. Believe me, this was no fun except for the last 5-10 minutes. Why? Because I'm interacting with you motherfuckers. I do not care if you actually are wrong in what you're saying. What I care is that you say it so that we can talk. And if I can show you what's wrong about what you're saying, then I've done something. If I can't, it ain't like I fucked up. It's just you can't see what I'm saying. If you can't, you can't. But what about if you can? What about if you do see what I'm saying? See, that's what's going on. That's what's really up. My course at SWU is for real. You gotta look through everything. You gotta figure out what it is that you want for what you're trying to have. Period. I'm out.